Okay, so today's lesson has to do with rolling your head with your hand. So please lie on your backs and begin to feel the contact of the back of your head with the floor or your mat. And notice the amount of pressure, the size of the pressure on the back of your head. Is it the size of a quarter or a $50? Is there a larger area where the back of your head touches, or maybe it feels more like the size of a dime? And just notice where your head naturally rests on the floor. If your nose is pointed a little to the left or to the right, or if one of your ears is tilted down a little more towards one of your shoulders. Or if you were to lift your head straight up, would you be looking directly between your knees, or would you be looking a little more towards your right or your left foot? And if it's easy for you to lift your head without straining too much, give it a try. Just lift your head straight up and be really honest to see if you're looking a little more to the left or to the right as you raise and lower your head. You might even raise your head with your eyes closed and then open them, so you're not directing the trajectory with your visual cues. And rest your head. Feel the pressure behind the right and left shoulder blades. Again, what's the size of the space where the back of your shoulder blades rests on the floor? If you were to outline those pressure points, look at the shape of the pressure and compare the left sides to the right sides. If you were to, in that drawing where you outlined the pressure of the back of your shoulders, let's say you were to shade it in, given the amount of pressure, and the more pressure your shoulder blade has, the darker the shading. The lighter the shading. And so really shade in just one shoulder blade. Are there parts where there's more pressure and less pressure? Is the greatest amount of pressure behind, let's take the right shoulder blade, is the greatest amount of pressure right in the center of the entire surface that has pressure? Or is it at one corner or edge? And then again, as if you're shading in a picture behind the left shoulder blade, find the point of the greatest amount of pressure, the places of the least amount of pressure, shading them in, and comparing the left side with the right side, and really giving yourself permission to be asymmetrical. Just think to yourself for a minute, were you noticing that it was asymmetrical, and did that bother you in some way? What was your opinion about your own natural asymmetry? Was there a judgment about it being right or wrong? This is my good side, this is my bad side. Did it give you some sort of information that fed the story of what you tell yourself about your body, the good parts as well as maybe the not so good parts? And follow with your attention down either side of your back. And again, feel the weight of your pelvis right behind your sacrum, which is centrally located, but notice if there's a little more pressure towards the right side or the left side of the sacrum. And is there any continuity? If you had more pressure behind the left side of your shoulder blade, is that the same on the pelvis, or is it opposite? If your head was turned a little left or right, is it the same as your shoulder blades pressure? your pelvic pressure. And then bring your attention all the way down to your heels and feel the weight of the back of your heels on the floor. And again, notice if there's more pressure behind the right heel or the left heel. Notice what you think about that. What's your opinion? Or can you notice that you have an opinion and just let it float through your mind and just come back to the sensation, the experience of getting to know how to feel yourself right here, right now, in this moment. And then gently bring your right hand up to rest the palm of your hand on your head. Actually, leave your hand down for a minute. I'm sorry. Leave your hand down. And just gently turn your head a little to the left and to the right, to that very first point where if you were going to turn it further, you would have to effort. You would have to push past the slightest amount of resistance. And just notice the quality of rolling your head, left and right. And notice if you feel the vertebrae participating, the vertebrae in your neck, your middle back, maybe even into your shoulder blades. As you turn your head left or right, is there any influence of that movement that you can sense into your neck, your upper trunk, even your ribs or low back? And now, just as effortlessly as possible, go ahead and bring your right hand up to rest it on your forehead so that your fingers are pointing to the left. And your head just feels fully supported by your right hand, your shoulders in a position of comfort and rest. And very gently begin to take your hand to roll your head with as much attention as is possible to not turning from your neck, but letting the muscles in the back of your neck be as passive as possible, as comfortable and easy. Feel where that movement comes from. As you take your elbow to the right, just feel your head just naturally coming along. And as you roll your head back to the middle and to the left, it's a simple movement of just lifting the elbow back up away from the floor. Not that your elbow necessarily is going to touch all the way down to the floor, but for some of you it might. Notice if you're holding it all in your jaw. How's your breathing pace? I'm going to go around and set pillows by each of you so that as you roll your head left and right, every once in a while, you might be able to let your elbow rest on the pillow. And if you're able to, gently roll your head all the way as far as is easy and comfortable to the right. And see if you can just let your arm down to rest on the pillow. And you might have your head to the right, and then in order to get your elbow down to the pillow, you might actually slide your hand a little more to the right so as not to turn your head or neck farther than is comfortable. Just kind of rest it there. And then feel, how do you start the movement of rolling your head again back to the middle and to the left? Can you truly start that motion just from lifting your elbow, feeling the support in your shoulder? What happens if you just prepare for the movement? Where does the preparation begin? Does it begin in your chest, in your back, somewhere around your shoulder blade? Okay, and again, next time you turn your head to the right with your hand, let your elbow rest on the floor or on a pillow, whatever's possible for you. And just gently in this position, take your eyes to the left and to the right a few times. And see if you can feel any influence on your neck from the movement of your eyes. Your neck is passive. Your head is supported to the right by your hand. Your elbow is resting on the pillow. And you're just rolling your eyes left and right in their sockets. And next time you take your eyes to the left, is there a point where you can feel the invitation to lift your right elbow and use your hand to roll your head so that your head is following the lead of your eyes? Take your eyes to the left and eventually feel that impulse to let your right hand roll your head to the left. And then when your head is rolled to the left, do the same thing. So your elbow, your arm is more up in the air. Take just your eyes to the right until your head wants to follow, and let your hand support the head in following the eyes. If your legs are long and you're feeling any work or discomfort in your low back, certainly bend your knees up. It takes a lot of stress off the low back. And then next time you're in the middle, just let your arm down to rest. Let your brain assimilate any new information. Maybe roll your head just once or twice, left and right. See if there's anything beginning to change in the quality of that movement. And then again, bring your right hand up to rest on your forehead. And if you're not already, go ahead and bend your knees up one leg at a time, so your feet feel stable, fairly close to your buttocks. You're not having to work in your hips or your pelvis to hold your legs up. And gently begin rolling your head again, left and right, with your hand, with particular attention to really listening to the muscles in the back of your neck and encouraging them to let go. It's so primitive to organize all of the movements of our head with our neck muscles. So to really let those go and let movement of the head happen through your arm, through your hand, through your shoulder, down lower in your spine, through your thoracic area, provides a lot of new input to the nervous system, new possibilities. And as you slowly roll your head left to right, just gently begin taking your knees in the opposite direction. Again, for some of you that might be 1/4 of an inch, just enough to feel comfortable and to feel the opposing movements. And for others of you, you might drop your knees all the way to the floor. But however far down you let your knees go to the side, notice particularly what kind of effort it takes to bring them back up to middle. Can they move to the neutral position as easily and effortlessly as they lower to either side? And as you do this differentiation from your knees to your head, notice how you're breathing. If you've tensed in your jaw at all. Notice the support you feel under your feet as your weight shifts from side to side through the soles of your feet. And then let that go and rest a minute. Just feel the quality of lying here. Taking a pause in your day, a pause from the doing, the lists, the musts, the shoulds, a pause into being. Because we can't change what we don't know. Many of you heard the definition of insanity. Doing the same thing over and over again and expecting different results. So in these lessons, you're not only giving new input to your nervous system on ways that you can physically move, but you're learning what it's like to pause, what it's like to slow down and feel the internal sensations, the feelings, the thoughts, the emotions that go on when you pay attention to yourself. And little by little, those internal sensations offer guidance in everything you do in life. And you can make wiser and wiser choices to not only take care of yourself physically, but to make decisions on who is it good to be around. How can I be around this person or that person, this co-worker, this family member, and still have a sense of taking care of myself? And if you keep going on autopilot, you won't have those opportunities, and you'll wonder why you're going insane. So again, bring the palm of your right hand up to your forehead. Bend your knees up one at a time, please. And just gently roll your head all the way to the right, resting your elbow and arm either on a pillow or on the floor. And gently take your knees as far as is comfortable to the left. Again, 1/4 inch is fine, all the way to the floor is fine. Whatever really feels easy and comfortable and effortless to your system. And then in this position, roll your eyes left and right. And then keep your eyes to the right. Take them to the left and keep them to the left. And hold them to the left while you turn your head left and take your knees right. And in this position, just roll your eyes in the head left and right a few times. And is it possible then, next time your eyes are to the right, is it possible to move your eyes to the left while you take your head and your knees to the right? And breathe. Oh, I've got you mixed up, don't I? So your head is to the right and your eyes are to the left, which would mean your knees are to the left. So see if you can take your eyes and your knees to the right while taking your head to the left. So your eyes and your knees are going the same direction and your head is going the opposite direction. My bad. However, that moment of confusion and chaos that was occurring inside of you, wondering if it was you or it was me, is a wonderful challenge. It's wonderful stimulation to the nervous system to engage and to think and to explore. What on earth is she talking about? And then pause in the middle. Rest your arm down. Feel the space in the back of your head, the pressure. Does it change? Is it a little left or a little right? The pressure behind each of the shoulder blades, the left side and the right side. Has this lesson using just one arm so far begun to influence more asymmetry, less asymmetry? Something new and different percolating inside of your experience? Feel your pelvis. Even let your legs down long and feel the back of your heels like we did in the beginning. Unless you were one of those in the beginning who chose to keep your knees bent because it's more comfortable for you, that's fine. And just roll your head a little left and right. What subtle changes are speaking to you? If somebody were to ask you, how would you respond to the most exciting thing, the most interesting thing you're learning in your Feldenkrais classes? And again, bend your knees up one at a time. If you're using a pillow, shift that pillow over to the left side, kind of above and behind your left shoulder. So you know where we're going with this. So gently rest your left hand on your forehead. And this time, before you begin moving, just can you move your hand enough on your forehead, not to move your head, but just to feel the skin glide across your forehead, but your head isn't actually moving. You're just making that contact with enough discernment to feel just the amount of pressure where your skin moves before your head turns. And when you do that, are you having to tighten anything in your neck? Is your jaw soft? Is your breathing full and rhythmic? And when you've done that a few times, just gradually grow the movement, but let the movement start out very small, really feeling each point along the way, what it's like to really let the neck muscles go and to give your head to your arm, to your left arm and hand. Noticing the trajectory, the arc that your elbow makes in the air as your arm just rolls your head from side to side. If you have any shoulder problems, sometimes it can be easier to put your arm in a position where your palm is on your forehead, but your fingers are actually pointing up towards the top of your head, so your elbow is resting more in front of your chest. That could be one alternate solution. And again, if it's too uncomfortable for anything, imagination is beautiful. Or improvisation. So feeling your head going side to side, letting the movement grow a little bit with each turn until you begin to feel the pillow or the floor under your left elbow. And if you can, just rest the arm, let it fully let go and rest. And then feel, how do you re-engage your arm, your hand to your head, so that the neck muscles stay soft and inactive, and your head just turns back to the right through the support of your arm, hand, and shoulder. What's happening in that shoulder? What's happening in your ribs and your spine to move your head from side to side while your neck muscles stay relaxed? And maybe you're one of those who notices, darn it, my neck muscles aren't relaxed. I'm never going to relax my neck muscles. It's not possible. I'll bet nobody in here is relaxing their neck muscles. What is she talking about, relaxing neck muscles? So if you're one of those people that have some sort of inner dialogue like that, what do you do with that? What does that feel like to know that you're being given an instruction that feels impossible to you? Does it make you frustrated? Maybe excited, like, well, today I can't relax my neck muscles, but it must be possible. She thinks it's possible. Won't it be great someday in a few weeks or a few months when I come back to this muscle in my head, to this lesson, and my head is just rolling lazily side to side. Next time your head is all the way to the left, again, just rest there. Rest your elbow, your arm on the pillow or on the floor. If you can, keep the palm of your hand on your forehead, but if you need to slide it down a little bit for your shoulder to be comfortable, that's fine too. And just begin to take your knees a little bit left and right. And as your knees go left and right, feel the weight shift behind your pelvis, across your sacrum to the left side and the right side of your pelvis. Feel the line that your pelvis is drawing on your mat. And if your knees going left and right is influencing movement in your pelvis, where is the movement? What is the movement in your pelvis influencing? Is there movement in your lower lumbar spine? And if maybe there's a little rotation you can sense in your lower lumbar spine, what about your middle back, the thoracic region? As your knees go left and right, can you soften your whole trunk so that you feel a subtle influence of rotation through your ribs, behind your shoulder blades, and even speaking in some way all the way up to your neck. And if you can't feel that, can you imagine what that might be like? To be able to take your knees from side to side and have the learned holding patterns in your trunk, the learned resistances in your trunk, be soft enough or inhibited enough or let go enough that you can feel the movement all the way to your neck, to the point of where your hand is holding your head to the left. And if your hand wasn't holding your head to the left, your head might even want to participate in this movement. Bring your knees to the middle, bring your head to the middle, and let your arm rest down at your side. Again, bend your knees up. Bring the palm of your hand, left hand up to your head. Really listen. How's your shoulder doing? How's your neck doing? And this time, again, begin the very subtle movement of just feeling your hand gliding the skin on your forehead, a little left, a little right. And gently, as you let the movement grow, let your eyes roll in the opposite direction. So each time your hand encourages even the slightest amount of rolling to the left, let your eyes roll to the right. And as your hand draws your head to the right, let your eyes roll to the left. Again, noticing is in the complexity of differentiating the head and the eyes. Do you create effort somewhere else in your chest or your jaw? Maybe even somehow tightening down in your lower abdomen, your perineum region. Can you just safely let the eyes and the head go in opposite directions? And then add the knees into this movement if you can, and still breathe. And this time let your knees go the same direction as your head. So your head goes right, and your knees go right, and your eyes go left. And then your head and your knees go left, and your eyes go right. And how smooth can you make this? How small do you have to make the movement to let it be really smooth? What's the speed going side to side? Is it easier if you go slower or if you go faster? And you might even play with different amounts of rolling, different speeds, different paces. Do you have a pretty rhythmical pace? What would it be like to not have a rhythm? To halfway go fast and halfway go slow? Maybe it takes your knees a while to catch up with your head, or your eyes get over to the side before your knees. And just rest. Let your arm down. Let your legs down if it's comfortable for you. And just roll your head again, side to side. How far down your system do you feel this? If your head rolls, what happens in your neck vertebrae? What happens in the middle spine vertebrae, the thoracic vertebrae, the ribs, the shoulder blades, the pelvis? When you turn your head from left to right, can you feel any shifting of weight, even just the slightest, through your pelvis or even your heels? And then let your head rest in what feels like neutral for you. And just notice, has anything changed? Your sense of center for your head, your shoulder blades, your pelvis, your heels. And again, imagine lifting your head. And how central would your head be? Would you be looking down right between your knees or your feet? A little left, a little right? Would it have changed from the beginning? And if it's easy for you to do this without straining, keep your eyes closed as you lift your head. And then when it's up, as far as is comfortable, just look and see if anything's changed. Just once or twice. Just to notice. And when you're ready, roll to your sides, come to sitting and standing. In standing, you can play with a little bit of turning and rotation. See how that feels now. Take some time and walk around and see what's the influence of this lesson. What kind of words would you give to it? What's the most interesting thing you've learned today?